What's up, Rockstars? I got a huge video for you guys. I got some brand new things that are on Kickstarter right now. I have some last minute chances to get some of the biggest crowdfunded games ever. So we got that coming up. We got some updates, some of them a little drama filled. We got some Mythic Games updates, for instance, some stuff like that. A huge amount of discussion to happen, some brand new announcements, even in like the tabletop industry, not just like board games. There's a lot going on, so let's dive right in. As a quick aside before I get into all this, thank you to my patrons for helping support this channel month after month after month. It definitely helps in this very expensive hobby to be able to do that. So just thank you so much for that. I am really excited to continue to do this throughout the year and do you guys proud, hopefully. So let's go ahead and dive in. So starting things out, we have the Gwen gaming table by Geek & Son. This is just launched today at time of recording. It's a day before it's uploaded, and so it'll be a day into it. That means there's still early bird stuff. We'll talk about that. Just as an FYI, Geek & Son supposedly is going to send me a table, not the Gwen table, but a table so that I can actually review it and tell you guys about the quality compared to some other game tables, regular tables that I use and otherwise. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully that's coming in time for the campaign. Probably there's 28 days to go still on that, and they have over successfully funded, of course, and they'll continue to climb. We'll see where that leads. There's a few things they do differently, but first talk about the early bird. I think the first 72 hours, 72 hours only, you're going to get the LEDs that go around. That's all the craze right now. They're claiming that's about a 420 pound saving there. I imagine it depends on the size of the table, but I'm not sure because they do offer a variety here. And we'll talk about a little bit of the options and stuff like that too. Obviously, they're showing quite a few here. They have the Hex one that a lot of people really like, which is kind of cool. It does come, all the prices you're going to see comes with the tabletopper. There's not even an option to get it without. And look at that. They even give a phone number. You go call Michael and he will tell you all about the product on offer, stuff like that. That's pretty cool, actually. And I know a lot of you guys will prefer a more analog experience in that sense too. So feel free to give him a call. I'm sure he'd love it. They do give a lot of the options here. Later on, they're going to talk about the heights. There are 3 heights you can get, but they're pretty standard heights as well, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But as you can see, they have a lot. The 3-in-1 it comes in just the medium and large, and then they have the actual Gwen medium, Gwen large. Then they have a Duke, which is extra long and a little bit wider, and then a little bit wider and extra long again is the Merlin, and then they have that Hex one as well that I know a lot of people are pretty tickled by. There are some actual reviews of the Gwen, so that's good to see. Because I wasn't getting the Gwen, I was kind of concerned that they may not have that, but they do have this, so that's available in both German and English. So super cool to see that, definitely. And they talk about the wood and all that kind of stuff. By the way, it is like actually waterproof. They actually have like rubber, apparently, in the leaves. So not only do they attach really well, but it also does make it like legit waterproof. You can spill on it, it'll be fine. Your game will be okay. Different ways to store it, the leaves, so that's really cool as well. They also have a little height thing here. They are actually doing something that looks kind of similar to the Origins and stuff like that, but I'm not quite sure if it's Game Theory Tables level of plush. But they do have a foam pad of some kind there that just really helps give it a little bit more bounce, which is kind of cool. They separate it into 2 if you want to do that, and that allows you to do a raise like that as well, if that is something your heart desires. USB-powered LED, that's pretty typical stuff going on there. And they do have an integrated card rail built into it, so you don't have to buy one of those. You do get it. That being said, I wouldn't really use it per se for anything too hidden, just because it is on the inside of the leaf. So it's a little bit farther away from you. Not too bad, but just know that, people could, like this guy can totally see that person's cards, right? So it's not, it doesn't have like a hidden thing there. They'll have like add-ons for everything. So I wouldn't worry about that. But just as an FYI, they're nice for your cards, depending on where you're sitting. But otherwise, they actually do their own delivery as well. They will use a third party, depending if you live out in the boonies somewhere, but otherwise, they'll actually ship it to you in their own van, which is pretty cool. I kind of dig that. They have a lot of different options here, even like a hobby desk and stuff like that, which can have a cool background, so that's kind of neat. I kind of dig that. There's your different standard heights: coffee, standard, and counter. If you are a person that wants to play like stuff like Warhammer, more, tabletop skirmish war game kind of stuff, this may not be the table for you for the Gwen. because it doesn't get very wide. It never even gets to 4 feet wide. It's more like it just gets longer and longer. And the counter, by the way, in my opinion, the counter is kind of cool, but I actually think the sweet spot's around 33 inches to 35 inches. And this goes from 30 to 39, essentially. When you're gaming like that, you typically stand and walk around the table and move your units and stuff like that. Counter makes it to where it's a little bit high, so it's a little bit harder to like rest over and see the whole thing. And then standard is a little on the low side, but I would go standard if you're going to do that anyway, but a little on the low side, so you have to lean down a little bit farther. It depends on how tall you are too, I imagine, as well. But anyway, a lot of options when it comes to this. When it comes to the surface, not so much. I'm really bummed they don't have a black. I think a black would look good there. A lot of different, oils and varnishes and stuff like that. It's all real wood, so that's really cool. And they are definitely cheaper than what you would normally be able to buy it at. There is a link down in the description below, by the way. I think I get some commission if you use that, so if you are interested in that, feel free to check that out. That may be expired because now that it's launched. I'm not sure. I don't even know. But either way, I'll link down to this campaign regardless. You can go check it out. If you were to get it, I would get the Duke if you're doing tabletop. It's still a little skinny, but it'll work better with the leaf on there, and that adds a little bit of the height as well. Their add-ons seem fairly priced, about maybe a little on the lower end actually, which is kind of cool. And yeah, they have a whole bunch of different stuff. This card holder here probably works a little bit better, but again, it goes in. I think the big thing on the end is like sitting your cards there so they're way out of the way for like draw piles and stuff like that. I think that's really good. So a lot of stuff available there. Go ahead and check them out. And just know that there is shipping even if you pick up locally. So just note that. Like here in Idaho, I'd pay a lot more in shipping. I'm like the most expensive in the US. So bummer for me. Next up, we have tabletop news. This is interesting. I started out actually really excited about this, but then really kind of soured on it. I'll talk about what this is. So this is Tabletop News. It's got 25 hours to go. There's 1,700 backers, which is pretty cool. It's got 162,000, so it did fund. That's pretty cool as well. What they're doing is saying that this is kind of the first like real kind of news. They even use the word journalism on this, and it's a really full-fledged kind of news anchor kind of thing that tells you about what's happening in the community, what's happening in the industry, some biopics, all that kind of stuff. They're funding 10 episodes. It'll be weekly, so it's not like it's a year's worth or anything like that. And they hope to eventually make it self-sustaining, but for now, this is to launch it up. So I guess a few things about this. First of all, there are some amazing creators out there. YouTube is a wealth of information that is all free for you. You might have to sit through an ad or something like that, but that's really it. So I don't know what it's really providing that isn't already there for you. The other thing that's kind of odd is I don't know why it would need a crowdfunding anyway when you have people like Becca and stuff in here. These people already are quite successful and could easily pull together and start a business without the crowdfunding. But I guess, they want to do that too. And maybe start building up a community, stuff like that. Not necessarily bad. I don't think they actually need it, if that makes sense. Their sponsorship points, by the way, like 7,000 for an episode and then 3,000 for a segment. First of all, is ridiculous, especially without a proven viewership. That's something that you're going to have a hard time selling, I feel, until you actually, the proof's in the pudding, of course. On top of that, 7,000 for an episode and then 3,000 like per segment. If they do gain popularity and they do get a lot of sponsors, expect this to be kind of like those really popular D&D shows where it's really half ads, half not, or even 2/3 ads where like you have just so many ads to sit through. That's an insane amount. If every single segment's going to have a sponsor plus the entire episode, that's a lot of sponsorships inside of a single episode. And it might just be, it doesn't really say what it is. Like, is it a little plug? Is it a little banner? I'm not sure. Just expect a lot of advertising there, which is kind of odd as well, I feel. Additionally, they do already have some sponsorships, obviously some connections and stuff like that. And this is where the journalism kind of goes away. It's really, reporting what's out there to see what's available for you to sell or to buy, essentially. Which is fine. You get a lot of information, but you won't get actual like hard-hitting journalism, right? This is more a QVC channel than it is a CNN channel. This is here to say, hey, look at this product here. Look how cool this is. Look what they're doing here. Wow, this company's so great over here, which has a purpose, just like QVC has a purpose. But don't go in there expecting, like an actual like news thing, which is kind of unfortunate that it has like news in there, because or they're even mentioning journalism. For instance, Cephalofair, I can never say the word until I like blunder it or whatever, is a sponsor. Nothing inherently necessarily wrong with that, but last year I covered several kind of more drama-esque kind of stuff where like they were having some issues with several different things, a lot of it even like touching on like racism and stuff like that. And so when you have stuff like that, closer to journalism would be like, okay, let's dive into that. And don't expect to ever see anything even that could even be remotely negative about that, or they wouldn't be a sponsor. That's just how those things work. So, it's a QVC channel for tabletop. If you want to see what's available to buy, I guess you can support it. I don't know. I just wish they wouldn't do the whole tabletop news and trying to be like anchors and throw around words like journalism and stuff like that. It's a QVC channel. BattleTech Mercenaries, 31 hours to go, 6.3 million, 21,000 backers. That is crazy. And of course, still going up. Will it reach 7? I don't know. Possibly. Will it reach 8 now? It's already kind of well into the 48-hour mark, so it's not going to reach those other ones, but it could easily get the I think there's a 6.5 unlock. Either way, there's quite a bit going on there. Now's your chance. If you are into BattleTech, if you wanted to get into BattleTech, this is a good way to save some money doing it, especially at the higher price points, but you are obviously at a higher price point there. Next up, we also have the Redgrass desk lamp, also ending in 31 hours, almost 5,000 backers, over 1 million raised. Huge props to them. I've spoken about my sadness that it's not a little bit cooler of a daylight temperature to counteract more normal lighting situations that I think a lot of people have. However, if you are really into miniature painting, or if you do not have the situation where you have maybe some more yellow lights, or maybe a window that tends to filter certain things, or even the walls and the light bouncing off the walls, stuff like that. I have a little bit of yellow in my walls. It's not like a perfect white or something like that. In other words, if you don't have a like legit painting studio setup, you might want a little bit bluer. However, if you do, or if this is still better than what you would have otherwise, it's a pretty darn good light. The two lights are pretty cool. It's pricey. It's about $220 or so. But it is certainly nice. So you'll be able to get a lot of really good painting, there where it comes to like the lighting and not getting shadows and the color retention and the non-flickering and all that. Definitely a quality product. You just have to make sure that that temperature is something I'd be happy with. If you are, that's great. If not, it's not adjustable. So there is that. Next up, we have Dungeons & Lasers 5, World of Dew Slayer. I can never say that either. Either way, almost 1 million. They're approaching that, and they still have plenty of time to go. Still 6 days to go, and as you can see, it's still raising up. They're going to get a 48-hour boost. It's going to definitely reach over 1 million, which is a huge growth from what Archon used to be, where they really struggled with quality and they really struggled with delivery and all this other kind of stuff. So it's great to see them do so well, so consistently. As you can see, lots of unlocks. They do a really good job showing kind of the value there. I was surprised by how much is just art and not even like an initial render yet. But that's because there's so many. They'll definitely be doing that. So over time, they'll replace that with renders and definitely get you the minis that you want there. There is a lot. So they've been unlocking a lot of stretch goals, as you can see there. They got 2 more big ones coming up, which is pretty cool, and I think they'll hit both of them. So definitely some value there. Next up, AR Vault Story Dice, 20 hours ago at time of posting. So it won't, by the time I post this video, it won't quite be live, but it will be the day of. So if you want early looks into stuff like that, again, feel free to subscribe. Try to keep you guys updated on everything in the news, as it were, with a little bit of opinion interjected all throughout, as is typical. And this is something you're either going to love or hate. I think they're going to do quite well. There's going to be people that want it for collectors stuff. There's going to be people that want to do it for a lot of different things. It definitely has its purpose. It's definitely fancy. It's not going to be their biggest campaign by far. However, it's going to make them a buttload of money. It's pretty much printing profit. All of these look to be single cast. And they're just dice, so they're actually fairly small too, which means on a single mold, you can fit quite a few of those. So it is much cheaper for them to make than a lot of the other miniatures that they do that are multi-part, because they've actually done a lot of that when it comes to like, interacting with the basing and having background and stuff like that. Awakened Realms does a lot of that. So this is actually probably some of their cheapest minis they've ever made. And it's going to be at a good profit for them because people are willing to pay quite a bit for fancy dice. So they're definitely going to be making a lot of bank on that. I see like $80. And again, once you have the mold, you can just print an indefinite amount, 10K plus copies of it. They're going to be doing just fine. This might be one of their more profitable campaigns, even though it won't seem like that. And that's a key distinction: revenue versus profit. A lot of people chase that number here, right? Like this seems, which one is it? Right here. This one seems really big, but they have so many SKUs that they have to kind of navigate. They have so many things they actually have to make that the profit is nowhere close to this. Where something like this can be really good. It just depends, right? So this right here is going to be a huge profit for GameFound. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. I'm just saying like they were going to do fine. Don't be too focused on just the revenue, thinking that is the key for success. That's not what they're going to be looking at either. They're looking for profit. Next up, the Hunters A.D. That's also coming very soon, 13 days. Of course, I'll cover it once it's launched. This is the fantasy version of the Hunters. The other one was a sci-fi version, and they've changed a lot to kind of match that. If you are looking for traditional kind of more grim, dark fantasy, this is probably the next big game for you, the one you want to look at. You can tell just by looking at it. This is kind of like the normal thing you're more used to seeing, and that is probably something that interests a lot of you if you're like me. Bit of a table hog, as an FYI, but I know several of my patrons really loved the sci-fi version. Next up, SFG, of course, always making stuff. Monster Hunter World, Iceborne, the board game. We knew this was coming, but it is nice to finally see it. That'll be launching on May 18th, as you see, and it's going to be very good. It's already 7,500 followers. From what I hear, a lot of people are actually really enjoying Monster Hunter World, which is great to hear. It's definitely the best gear crafting system I've done in a board game. I really did enjoy that, and that's where it shines there. Not so much on the boss battler for me. I said so much in my review, which I'll try to link down below for you guys, but it's on my channel. So definitely a more lackluster when it comes to like boss battlers, if you have other boss battlers, but the crafting is on point. It's really, really good. And at the end of the day, that's often what a lot of people want out of their Monster Hunter. So it's definitely checking a lot of people's boxes. Next up, we have Alter, Realms of the Gods. I've shared this before. This is by the Red Joker. They make very good quality products. They are indie, so I like supporting them. What a great picture. I love all of this art. This looks fantastic. This might actually be something I jump into. It's a card game. It should play pretty quick. It's got different, 2 to 5 players. You're like building shrines, stuff like that. Shouldn't take up a lot of setup time. Shouldn't take a lot of game time. Should just be able to hit the table, have some fun, and move on with your day. That seems pretty cool to me. And again, the art is just exquisite. So I'll definitely be covering this. And already almost 1,000 followers, which for the Red Joker, again, is awesome to see. Love supporting these indies. Next up, League of Dungeoneers expansion and second print. Almost 3,400 people for a second print. Shows that there's definitely some love for it and that there's definitely a lot to kind of enjoy as a consumer. Anytime you get a second reprint, an expansion, stuff like that, it means there's already like full reviews of the final thing. You can actually see the game, how it turned out, whether or not it's something for you. There's a lot less questioning than something that's new. So that's always a good bonus on us, I think. It's a Tales of Evil and Boogeyman expansion reprint. Same kind of thing. Obviously a little bit more indie, but it does have those cool minis. Look at that bust. That's super cool. I really dig that. So if you were looking at this the first time and you're thinking maybe you want it again, you can go ahead and check this out. Both those are on GameFound. Next up, I am going to agree and proceed just for you guys. You're welcome for those cookies. This is huge. So this is Ramper Design is actually going to be making a game based off of the Infinity Universe. It's going to be a space battle skirmish game with resin minis, but you're only going to need a few of them. And it's going to be scheduled for crowdfunding later in 2023. I'll try to keep you guys posted. I'm a big fan of Infinity. I have a lot of fun with it. I've played the Code 1 quite a bit and quite enjoy it. And definitely want to get more minis. This is a really cool universe. It's a little bit more sleek sci-fi. I would put it closer to something like Mass Effect. A very similar feel in that sense. But this is going to be 1 to 3 ships, 1 versus 1, and multiplayer modes where you're just going to be doing skirmishes in space. in that universe, and I'm excited to see these high-quality plastic resin minis and what they look like. I think it'll be pretty cool. I don't know if they'll do Silecast or not. I wonder if that's what they mean. That is resin, so I guess we'll see. But either way, looks super cool. Next up, we also have the Gloomhaven role-playing game. June 20th, so it was moved from the launch that they announced with the video. This is going to be massive. It's going to be on backer kit. It's going to be a ton. It's going to be record-setting, I imagine. Like, this is big backer kits like Ace in the Hole. This is going to put them on the map. Over 600 minis are going to be available. Also, they have the RPG. And with that, you're going to get in the base 250 miniatures, all going to pre-assembled, high quality. It's not the highest quality, by the way, like that, but it is actually fairly legit. In fact, all of the bases have sculpting texture on it, if nothing else, often even a design. But yeah, the core Gloomhaven set will feature 250 plus miniatures, but the whole thing will be 600 plus minis. So prepare your wallets. Keep in mind that this is coming up in June, so it's going to be towards the end of June, and just know it's coming. I would hate for you guys to spend your money before you really want to. If this is something you're looking forward to, make sure you save up for it. Spend responsibly. Middara, speaking of which, will be launching. This is tomorrow time of posting, so for you, they are reopening the Pledge Manager and doing, I believe, final shipping for the next wave, and also like a third reprint of the first one. So a lot of options to buy stuff there, and that'll be coming out next time, which means the next news video I do for you guys, you'll be able to see that. I'll cover it for you guys and show you anything that's new there. And finally, Mythic Games update. 6 Siege update, sort of, kind of, in a way. So, by the way, I was looking through my pledge managers, and I saw that I spent like 400 plus on Anastyr and 200 plus on, and this one I think I just had the base pledge, so like $70 or whatever. 200 plus on one of their other ones. I think Hell the Last Saga, stuff like that. Like I'm right there with you guys. Okay, they have a lot of my money, and I don't have all my product. That is for sure. So a bit of a bummer there, for sure. That is super dumb. Additionally, what really hurts for both Darkest Dungeon and 6 Siege that they're doing is I think a lot of the backers are brand new backers. So they're not even used to like Kickstarter and crowdfunding and all that kind of stuff. They're just fans of the IP that bought this board game based off their favorite video game and stuff like that. So just a real big bummer there, both when it comes to expectations and understanding and all that kind of stuff. They're in a bad boat anyway. They still have not told us the exact amounts. They will the last week of April, supposedly. I'll be here the last week of April, have a news video, and I'll let you know if they did or not. So we'll see. They might be a little late. At this point, they've been doing this for at least over a month now. Like, we've known they're going to have a contribution, and we still haven't heard it. They're like, hey, we completed all of this stuff, but we're not going to let you know until next week. I don't know why the delay. It's just kicking it down the line a little bit longer, which is a bummer. It's going to be costly. In fact, they say it's going to be more than a lot of you want. Considered too high by some backers. Definitely true. I think any amount is too high for some. But yeah, it's bad. They're doing a lot of stuff for the digital version on Tabletop Simulator, trying to do that. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning is. I wish they honestly just kind of spoke like, hey, here's why we wanted to do this. But they're just like, hey, we want to offer that, which is cool. But I mean, I don't know if we definitely necessarily want to have cycle spent there. It would be nice to have them just responding to some more emails instead, if they just have some spare time, perhaps. There's a lot of discussion here, and guys, I like read through all of this. Like, I really, really did. This was on my other computer, so I just opened it here. I save it to like a Trello board and then open here for recording. But there's a lot here. One of the things that was really a big point here is, and I highlighted it in my other one, but I don't think it carried over. But a lot of people were like, guys, shipping went down. Why would I pay contribution if shipping is cheaper now? And the point that people keep making, which is very true, is this is not about shipping at all. And the amount that they need is not based off the shipping. It's based off them keeping up as a business so they can deliver this. It will all be wave one. And you will get your game. It's a great game, by the way. I had a blast with the prototype. Fantastic game. Really a bummer that all these good games that so many people backed is affected by this. At this point, they haven't discussed even what happens if you don't pay. I guess we'll find out maybe at the end of April. But I wouldn't expect your game. It's either pay and get it or don't and donate it to whoever buys it online. Is kind of the deal there. one of the things people are bummed with is that we're paying this contribution and then other people are getting refunds for other games. And it's like, that's all tied together. So you're almost kind of paying for somebody else's refund is what it kind of feels like. It is kind of a bummer when they're spending, anytime you're spending things and people are having to pay extra, they're going to start allocating it. So it's, why are you doing the online portion? Why are you spending money doing that? Because you're paying somebody to do that. Why would you do that? Have them do something else, right? Because I'm now paying and then you're paying that. That's going to that. Or why are you refunding somebody on a different campaign with the money that now you're saying you need from me? Like, why is that a thing? So it gets really gross when you start doing that. It's one of the reasons why I've said, like, as crappy as it is, these refunds, all it does is like hurt morale, hurt the business, hurt everybody's chances, make everybody pay more. Like, your refund means that a 6 Siege guy now has to pay more to get his game. So it's kind of a bummer. It's kind of like we're like eating ourselves, right? Like, us consumers are just screwing ourselves over. But it's kind of a dog eat dog world, right? It's, I want my money back, so you're gonna have to pay more kind of thing. I'm not saying that's even necessarily bad. I mean, at the end of the day, you look after yourself. It sucks. It sucks. And there's just, it's one of these things where, like, I don't recall seeing a sorry or apology. I would be saying it every single time. No. And apology. Yeah, no, they didn't say that at all. So there was no mention of, like, yeah, we know this sucks and we're sorry. It's just, hey, we've done the best we can, all that. I don't know. I would just like some more humbleness, if nothing else. I think that would go a long way. They kind of are either like way too personable or way too cold. And I don't think they've found that kind of middle part of understanding. Anyway, it's bad. So that's that, guys. There's a lot here, obviously, to go over. All the links are down below, so feel free to check those out. Guys, thank you so much again for supporting the channel. I always appreciate it. I always appreciate your time. And I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Bye, guys.